All right, welcome back. Well, in a major sign of thaw between India and Bangladesh, Dhaka has resumed visa services in India. The Mohammad Yunus government had shut down visa services 2 months ago after ties had hit rock bottom due to attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh. PNP government in Bangladesh under the new Prime Minister Tarique Rahman has shown their intent in improving ties with India. What has also helped is the letter written by Prime Minister Modi to Mr. Rahman congratulating him and inviting him to India. It is likely that India reciprocates soon. Resuming visa services in Dhaka after more than 1 year, they were a shutdown. So is this the sign of things to come? Will India and Bangladesh and the relationship see a reset under the new regime is the big question. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the program is Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, Major General Sudhakar Ji, senior geopolitical defense expert, Dr. S.K. Datta, international affairs expert, also joins us on the show. Mr. Shoaib Chaudhary, editor of Blitz. He's joining us all the way from Dhaka in Bangladesh. Ambassador Mukherjee, I'll begin with you. Simple question, perhaps not a very simple answer to that. Will this, in fact, be a positive step towards, reconciliation between these two nations? And do you think that the damage that Yunus tried to do is perhaps reconcilable, keeping the fact in mind that India has shown maturity in the face of this new regime?
Yes, indeed. I take a very positive approach to these positive changes emanating from the Bangladesh side, from the new Prime Minister. Let us not forget that Mohammad Yunus was closely allied with the Jamaat, which got 68 seats but could not get a majority. And the Jamaat was also trying to play with the students who actually got only a few seats which the Jamaat had allocated to them, 7 or 8 seats if I'm not mistaken. Under those circumstances, and the BNP, which is a major political party at grassroots level, and after all the new Prime Minister's father himself fought for the liberation of Bangladesh in the 71 war. He was a professional soldier. Therefore, he would have a completely different perspective on the events leading up to the liberation of Bangladesh, the fact that he went for what we call in Bengali the Ekushe, which is very, very important, which I'm sure Yunus would not have gone to, etc., definitely indicates, very hopefully for India, the waning of the power and influence of Yunus, under whose interim regime India-Bangladesh ties went through the greatest crisis ever since Bangladesh was created. And all the steps that the new Prime Minister has taken indicate maturity, indicate the desire to carry all Bangladeshis with him, indicates his desire to be Prime Minister for all of Bangladesh, which includes minorities, and definitely indicates of the future warming up of ties between Bangladesh and India. Warming up, I would add, beneath from the rock bottom level, because under Yunus it had actually hit the rock bottom. It couldn't have gone any further below than what it was at. So I think that I would take this as a very positive step. You would recall that after the unfortunate death of an anti-Indian student leader, there were such virulent anti-Indian protests and Hindus being lynched as if we had killed this student leader, who was then laid to rest next to Nazrul Islam's grave, as if he was one of the founding fathers of Bangladesh. That was the extent to which Mohammad Yunus tried to drag down the Indo-Bangladesh relationship. I have no idea where he is now, but I do hope that in the months to come, whatever is the future setup in Bangladesh, Yunus has no role to play, because all this was orchestrated by Yunus and his aides, and it was with a very clear objective of bringing in India's enemies into Bangladesh and completely sidelining and ruining the Indo-Bangladesh excellent relationship which prevailed at all times until Yunus came. So I take a very positive view on it.
All right. Dr. Datta, how do you look at this evolving situation? Let's not forget that the Jamaat at this point in time is also under control of a number of areas along the India-Bangladesh border. How is that likely to play, a new kind of dynamic in this relationship?
Well, the fact that the Jamaat had won so many seats in the Indo-Bangladesh border, especially bordering West Bengal and some, that is a serious no, as well as for the intelligent forces, for the people who look after the border areas and those who map the border areas. And it is true that in West Bengal, all the communal problems and the troubles which get fomented every now and then, a large part of it has a connection with those areas in the border which borders in Bangladesh. So definitely this is something of a concern for us, and we have to be very cautious about this. I do welcome the stand of the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh, trying to reconcile and trying to, have a amicable kind of a relationship within India, because Bangladesh otherwise also doesn't have any other option, because Bangladesh is surrounded on three sides by Bharat, and Bangladesh is actually caged around around the boundaries of Bharat. So definitely the Bangladesh doesn't have any option. Sooner or later, Bangladesh would have done this. It is very good that the former chief advisor of Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus, he has abdicated power, and I think he had requested for a safe passage for himself and for his aide from the new administration to Europe. And as far as I understand, a safe passage was denied to him as well as to all his aides. So that also sets in a kind of a direction as to in which way the new government would be taking or would be handling the previous regime. It is also true that there has been serious allegation of corruption against Mohammed Yunus as well as all his advisors, and I think it would be appreciative if the new government initiates an inquiry in relation to all those. Yes, it is a mandate for BNP, and it is a brutal mandate, no doubt. But one has to also understand that the Awami League was not allowed to contest election. So that way only election in a way was rigged in favor of one party. There was no proper democratic fight as such. So that is something which the new regime has to handle in future, because Awami League is still very strong at the grassroots level, and the percentage of voting which had taken place in Bangladesh, hardly around 47%, that itself also speaks in volumes that a large part of the Bangladesh electorate did not participate in the election because of the absence of Awami League. That's something which needs to be noted. The Honorable Prime Minister of Bharat has written a letter to him requesting the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh to come over, and I believe the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh would be coming to New Delhi sooner or later, and that would actually, solidify the ties in a much better way. My major concern is, of course, the security of the minority community, especially of the Buddhists, the Hindus, and the Christian community. Even during the pre-poll and post-poll violence, several Hindus were killed, several Hindu shops were looted, and many were brutally injured. So the new regime has to show, a teeth in handling the communal and the hardcore elements in the Jamaat, and needs to rein in those, because after all, it has to set in a new example to the global world that it is a democratic government, and it takes the concern of each and every caste, creed, and region of Bangladesh into consideration, and there is no bias as such. It is also true that Begum Khalida Zia, when she was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, the mother of the present Prime Minister, the maximum violence had taken place that time against the minority community, and her regime was extremely anti-Hindu, anti-minority, anti-Buddhist as such. And there was a systematic ethnic cleansing which had taken place during her 10 years of rule. So, with that kind of a legacy of the BNP of the past, and the fact that his mother had followed a very highly sectarian, pro-Pakistan, anti-communal agenda, I am little skeptic. I'm little skeptic about how the new regime would handle things. If he does it in a democratic way and he shows his secular credentials in reality, the way he speaks about it, that would be a welcome sign. But if Bangladesh under the new regime toes in the line of China as well as Pakistan, and there are chances that the new regime might toe in the line, and if that happens, then this is something which could be of a long-term concern for our government and for Bharat, and we need to be very cautious about it. We are optimistic, but to be blindly optimistic about it is something which could be suicidal.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good summation, Dr. Datta, of the entire situation. General Sudhakarji, before I go to Shoaib Chaudhary, your thoughts on how India should approach this? We should learn from our history. The current Prime Minister's mother, was also in charge of Bangladesh, and at that time there were crimes against minorities. Is this, the same wine in a new bottle, or are we looking at a situation where Bangladesh is going to prioritize its growth, it's going to prioritize its economy, it's going to prioritize its neighbors, or is it going to continue with that, same old formula of ethnicity and majority-minority games?
Good evening, Vinit. Thank you for inviting me for your show. Taking the baton forward from optimism, being a military man, without meaning to sound as an alarmist, I would caution India that we must prepare and prevent. Otherwise, we may land up in repairing and repenting. Because the worst, whether it happens or not, if it doesn't happen, it's a welcome development. But that doesn't mean we are going to lower our guards. Having said that, now let me put things in the perspective as I understand. There are clear indications. I agree with the Ambassador ma'am, as also Dr. Datta. Initial signatures of the leader, that is Mr. Rahman, they suggest, and his body language also, it suggests, I'm an NLP expert, so I can say with a lot of optimism, they suggest a kind of a reconciliation and prioritization of his objectives. The objective is firstly to take stock. Initial couple of months, he will take stock, take everyone along, and as he gains confidence, perhaps because this is for the first time, his boots are into the election mandate and the responsibility that he has assured people. 2/3 majority is not a joke. His credibility will be at stake if he doesn't actually meet the aspiration of the people. I do agree what Dr. Datta said. A large percentage of people have not been included in the process of election or exercising their franchise. That is well taken. In any case, something is better than nothing. I'm trying to give the devil its due and bring in optimism in everything, but there is a caution which needs to be exercised. That caution is your centrality of your question is India's interest. When I look at it from India's interest, our sole interest, primary doctrine should be how can we facilitate or help Bangladesh to cede the space which Pakistan, China, USA, Turkey and Qatar have taken over from Bangladesh back to or in favor of India. This space has to be ceded back or taken over by India. It is a long haul. It is not going to happen overnight. Therefore, we need to look at the low-hanging fruit as to what is achievable in the given time frame, in the shortest possible objective, in the medium term, let's say 2 to 3 years. How much can we actually grab? And while stating all this, we should be mindful of the leverages that India has today, because if we have to twist the tail to get things, the response matrix in favor of India, we need to know what are these issues where India can actually pivot and try and gravitate so as to negotiate in an effective manner for a favorable response. Second point I wish to highlight, Vineet, in response to your question is that China has made a very significant and deep inroads into the military domain of Bangladesh. And along with China, let's be mindful of the fact that there was a very important meeting on 19th of June 2025 at Kunming on the sideline of a mega event where the foreign policy officials of all the three countries had got together in the garb of economic collaboration. They had got together to actually strengthen the counter strategy which had been formulated between 9th and 11th of August 2019, consequent to the abrogation of Article 370 and 35 Alpha when the Foreign Minister of Pakistan had visited China. So this has to be taken note of, because often I have been calling this as a devil's triangle without being sounding like an alarmist. But better this thing, while we are covering three cardinal directions, be mindful of the fact that the epicenter of terrorism has started showing ugly heads. Not in the western flank, it was okay, Afghanistan-Pakistan corridor, but here is a new epicenter which is coming up. You have name a terrorist organization which is not there. From Rohingya Brotherhood to Al-Qaeda to ISIS, you have Hamas there. There are also unofficial reports coming that the Hezbollah footprint is also there, and a host of other people. Now, Jamaat, coming to the third point, Jamaat domination and the successful results along the border, Siliguri corridor. This is very, very sensitive. If you go into the details, all the four Ulfas had more than 4 camps. All the 4 camps are in the Jamaat domain. In these 4 Ulfa camps, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, these people, they landed on 30th of January 2026 in a flight, and these people reportedly have started training, or they have reinforced the training staff in these 2 Ulfa camps where Rohingya groups are.
All right, General Sudhakarji, there seems to be a problem with your network. Let me quickly rope in Shoaib Chaudhary also, who's joining us from Dhaka at this point in time. Shoaib, how is the emotion and mood on the ground, in terms of this new government? The last time we spoke, it was a very tempestuous situation in Bangladesh. Has a calm, taken over, enveloped Bangladesh ever since the new regime, or do you think it's too early to come to any conclusion? Shoaib?
First of all, I'd like to.
Okay. Good.
First of all, I'd like to say that Her Excellency Ambassador Mukherjee and Honorable Major General Sudhakarji both are aware that the day Yunus seized power, I should say, I have been extremely vocal against him. And we can say that we Bengalis have just won another war against the Pakistani agents and mercenaries. We have liberated our country on the 12th of February from the evil clutches of Pakistani forces in this country. So this is not the moment that any Indian media says that Bangladesh has no choice, or BNP is anti-Hindu. If you say BNP is anti-Hindu, all political parties have been anti-Hindu, including Awami League. No one has protected the Hindus since 1947 actually. Second thing, post-poll violence, Dr. Datta said Hindus killed, it's a wrong information, false information. I am absolutely aware, I'm keeping watch on everything, day to day, hour to hour. We should not run a propaganda against the new government which has just taken power and pushed it towards the hostility against India. This will be a very bad move, a wrong move. Today, the Bangladesh government has resumed visa with India. We should not say that Bangladesh has no choice with India. No, we should say Bangladesh must have relations with India, because with the relationship with India, we can grow, we can prosper. Only we can say we should not have to fall into the traps of Pakistan. Secondly, Tarique Rahman has taken the power at a very critical time, very turbulent time. Our inflation rate now is almost 9%. The previous regime, illegal regime of Yunus, they have already signed an agreement with US which has trapped Bangladesh into the vicious conspiracy of Donald Trump. We have to come out of that. For that, we need India's cooperation. I can guarantee that the new government of BNP will definitely have extremely cordial relations with India, because they understand the consequence of India's actions, that Yunus has done absolute damage to this country. Number 4, this not letting Awami League join the fold, it is an eternal affair of Bangladesh. Because Awami League has also had several elections, 2013 and 2024, where it did not allow BNP to join. So it's forget about Bangladesh internal affairs. India should look into the broader based areas where we can man these already broken relations, and we have to come out of this hostility. Bangladeshis, we Bengalis at 18 crore, we need just hope from India that it is the same India which has helped us in 1971 of getting liberated from Pakistanis, and the same India is there to help Bengalis. No matter which government is in power, unless a regime is like Yunus, which will show hostility towards India, and then please don't hurt the sentiment of Bengalis, because Bengalis are very sensitive nation. Bengalis are Bengalis. Bengalis hate Pakistanis, please remember. And Bengalis consider India not as a neighbor. We consider India as our integral relative nation. We are a relative of India, Bengalis. Please remember this, never hurt the sentiment of Bengalis, and please don't start throwing back balls at the new government. Give it a space, let it work.
Nobody's bad-mouthing the government. In fact, we have no basis, Ambassador Mukherjee, to bad-mouth the government. We are just trying to figure out, what the projections could be, how, circumspect India needs to be. There has been growing proximity between Bangladesh and Pakistan under Yunus. There has been growing proximity with China also under Yunus. So obviously, India cannot turn a blind eye to that.
First of all, I wanted to remind my brother from Bangladesh that there are so many millions of us who are Bengalis from Dhaka, Bikrampur, who decided to become Indian. That includes 7 generations of my ancestors who came from Dhaka, Bikrampur. So when you say Bengalis, please include the Bengalis of India. Amio Bengali, Apnar Mothon. Apnar Mothon, same Rafto, same culture, same Bhasha. The second thing is that when my colleague from the armed forces was talking about the dangers, it is important for the Bengalis, the Hindus, the minorities in Bangladesh to understand that under Yunus, Bangladesh has become the center of great power, rivalry and politics, which is very dangerous for Bangladesh. You have China there, you have United States there quarreling with China, you have Turkey there, you have Pakistan getting into a cozy embrace with Yunus, and as was reminded by my military colleague, you have your neighbor from 3 sides, India, whose sovereignty has been threatened by Yunus, who continuously used to talk about the Siliguri corridor, about the northeast states. Even in his farewell speech, he mentioned the northeast states, etc. Under those circumstances, first of all, it was a free choice in 47, which Bengalis decided to leave and which Bengalis decided to come. In 1971, the Bengali Hindus in Bangladesh, New Bangladesh, decided to stay because it is a secular nation where safety was guaranteed to all. And you are very right to say that Hindus were never safe at any point, including after 71, including under Sheikh Hasina, where under Sheikh Hasina, so many Hindus were massacred and Ma Durga's head was cut off and many Durga Pujas were stopped under Sheikh Hasina's regime, so that you had only 2 Durga Pujas left in Dhaka. So there is no doubt about that. But still, there were not so many open lynchings. And why are there lynchings? The reason is very simple, is because Bengali Hindus in Bangladesh own property. Each time you lynch one person from that family puts pressure on India or other countries. They want to get out. Then who takes the land? The other guys. It is a very, very vicious struggle. And on top of that, you have the great power struggle. So obviously India has to, like my military colleague said, while welcoming these very good steps.
Fair enough, ma'am. Yeah,
understand-
though we've run out of time, I appreciate the sentiment as well as, the bonhomie that we have gotten to see in the last few minutes. But unfortunately, we have run out of time. Would like to thank everybody who joined in and shared their opinion. We take a short break now.